Hi friends, it's Em, and today we're doing something that's I think a first on this channel. We are doing a month in review spread. So I set this up in my December, but for November I just kind of left it blank. I was like, I'll figure it out. I do want it to be sort of thematic, so here I'm kind of just replicating the bubble letters from my Heartstopper theme, which honestly, I thought it was so cute. Just so dang cute. I definitely got a little bit lazier as the month went on in terms of drawing in the leaves and all that stuff, which I'm just gonna remember for the future. That if I want to have a really detailed theme, that I need to do those details all the way through, because future me is not gonna want to do them. For this, basically the point of the month in review spread is just to look back on everything that happened this month and sort of what went well, what didn't go well, any progression towards goals, any fun that we had. So for November, I talked about this a little bit in my goals video, but November was a little bit of a rough month. And I'm still, I don't know, December just started and December's kind of already a little bit of a rough month too, but it's gonna be great. I'm going to be using my HP Sprocket to print out photos from my phone. So I printed out photos of my car, which I realized halfway through that I hadn't actually charged my Sprocket all the way, and that was why it was kind of quit in the middle. So that's why that photo is so much smaller. It's because it only printed half the photo. But I have a picture of that. I have a picture of me and some of my friends when we went to the Eras Tour movie, as well as me on the Iron Flame panel. And then November was a really good reading month, so I have a picture of me holding a bunch of books. I read 26 books in November, which, given that there's 30 days in the month, is really pretty good. And then I took a picture of my new office setup, which really the only thing new is the journal holder, but I really like the journal holder. It makes me really happy inside every time I look at it, so it counts. In terms of sort of fun things that happened this month, so we had our Friendsgiving book club. That is where I got my cold that I'm still kind of getting over, but it was really fun. I tried hash brown casserole, which I think I hadn't had that in a really long time, and it was so good. It was so good. And then I had a 7-layer bar that I was really excited about too, both of which were brought by Lauren Morrill, who I love, and her dog Pop-Tart I finally got to meet this month, which was so exciting. We also went to an Ice Bears game, which was my first hockey game ever. I was so excited. We just bought tickets for December to go to another one, right before Christmas. I'm really, really, really excited. Guil's gonna come to that one. Like I said, we did do the Eras Tour movie. I got a new car, which I put under fun, even though I didn't want a new car. I really liked my old car. There was nothing wrong with my old car. But, the universe intervened, and then that's where we're at now. I'm using my Google Calendar here just because I put almost all of my events in Google Calendar. So now this is a really good way for me to just look back and go, oh yeah, okay, that was this month. Because days are very weird. I have trouble remembering which day is which. They kind of all blend together. This month we also went and hiked Fort Dickerson. We were going to hike Baker Creek Preserve, which, if you know me, we've been trying to hike there for a while, and something always goes wrong. We got there, and they were having a farmer's market, so the road was closed. And we're like, well, crap. So I also have on my fun list getting the journal stand, and then Super Mario Wonder. So Super Mario Wonder is a Nintendo Switch game which can be played cooperatively. So Guil and I play it together with 2. I think you can go up to 4 players, either locally or with whatever, where you host a server. or stuff. But it's really fun. It's cooperative ultimately. Although you can definitely injure each other in it with like the Koopa shells and stuff, but it's really fun. We tend to try and make video games last a while, so I think we've only finished the second world, maybe. We might not even technically be done with it yet. On here I also wrote, I haven't written it yet, but I wrote in my social era, which I think is definitely true. I have been making like lots of plans to see people and to like go out and do things. And I just need to remember that it's like, in order to combat my depression, right, I need to see people. It makes me so happy inside. But I also have like social anxiety, so I need to be away from people. No one said the brain had to make sense, okay? But I need to make sure that I have time for myself to actually like rest and recover. Otherwise, I just end up in a burnt out spiral, and then I'm usually worse off than I was before. So that's kind of like where that is at. I'm writing right now the goals progress, and you can see that I'm using the calligraph colors just to add a little bit of accent throughout. Or I did a doodle for the books read, and then I changed my mind and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing, because I didn't sketch it out. I think in December I might sketch it out and, you know, I can mark out where the photos are, and then I can do any doodles that I want to do. Just because I can draw a book under pressure, I can't draw much else under pressure. So for the goals progress, I'm pretty proud of. So we paid off our credit card debt. We got all of our Christmas gifts done. Now, admittedly, one has arisen since then, but it's gonna be like an easy one where we know what we're gonna do. I redid my paper storage, and I found places for the suitcases, which was just revolutionary. We went to 2 different small business craft markets. So we went to Retropolitan, which we love. That's our favorite local one. And then we went to Merville. That's how you say it in Tennessee. It's spelled like Maryville. And we went to the small business fair there too. We also found a local record shop that we love. It's dangerous for our wallets, but like it's just so nice. The vibes in there are impeccable. It's like, in contrast, the only thing I had to compare it to was Homer's in Omaha. And like, whenever I walked into Homer's, it always just smelled like incense, and they had these weird like dolls that they sold there too, that like I don't know, I never really understood it as a kid, because as a kid I'm like, yeah, it's a CD, guys. But as an adult I can kind of feel the nostalgia of it all. I don't know. But also went for a hike. I've been working on my self-esteem in therapy. Lots of positive self-talk, which like right now if I'm in kind of like the pits of depression, positive self-talk is not easy. But we're working on it and just focusing on small victories, because small victories, if you get enough of them, they're large victories. And then, even though this was kind of a negative, I had so many medical appointments this month, but it's good because I wasn't putting them off. Because I feel like something I usually do is I go, I'm dreading that. Well, let's just not do it. Okay, that sounds right. But I was doing lots of medical appointments, got my COVID shot, so that's sort of where my goals ended. I feel like going into December, I'm in a really good place in terms of my goals. I'm in a weird spot for December just because I have an obscene amount of hours to make up for work. And so I'm just gonna figure that out. I'm gonna take some of it unpaid, and that's okay. But I'm just trying to do what my therapist told me, which is mostly, he goes to me, he goes, when's the last time you did a limp noodle or a wet noodle, where you just let your entire body just go limp? and it's just like all of the tension that you're holding in your neck and your shoulders and your back, it just like seeps out of you. Because that tells you how much of, all of that tension in your body is based on your brain, not your actual body. So like right now I'm super tense in my lower back, and I know that if I just went floop for a second, just being in touch with how my body is feeling versus how my brain is feeling, oh, so good, so good. November was actually a pretty good therapy month. My therapist is fabulous. And I think apart from, it was, there were a lot of dentist appointments, we had car wreck, colds, depression, but it was still also a really fun month. And that's the whole point of doing this November in review spread, is so I can remember all of the things that I loved that happened in November, and maybe just kind of note some of the things that sucked, right? Like wrecking my car sucked, but going to the Eras Tour movie rocked. So it's just the duality of life. I will say that November, I feel like November is always just a really weird month because of the holidays and with Thanksgiving. I definitely find that around the holidays I get more depressed just because I'm away from my family. And like, I don't live in the same city as my family, right? So to go there is generally like really expensive, and I don't have the vacation time for work because of mental health issues. And so, it gets a little rough. But I think the thing that I need to remind myself of, and I hope maybe I can remind you too, is that like there are still good things that exist, right? So like even though I'm really far away from my family, I can call my mom. Like that sometimes that thought doesn't cross my head. I can pick up my phone and I can FaceTime my mom and we can talk, right? And that's one of the things my therapist will ask me. He's like, you talk to your mom? Right? Or like I can text a friend, because I do have, some friends that are local, and I can say, hey, do you want to hang out? Do you want to get coffee? I don't drink coffee, but I do drink tea. That's a November realization, where I found out that I like tea if it has fresh lemon juice in it. And sometimes honey, it depends on the tea. But mostly just the fresh lemon juice. So, and like just, remembering that despite the fact that I live in my head all the time and I usually know what I want and I need, that other people don't, right? Other people are worrying about themselves and their needs. So like just taking a minute and being like, I need to have human interaction with someone that isn't my husband. That is what I need, right? And then going about and sort of like doing that for yourself. And that is so hard. Like in my journey with depression so far, I don't think a year ago I would have been able to do that, or like even really recognize how I'm feeling. But that's where we're at. I am honestly so happy with how this spread turned out. I'm just really drawing leaves of miscellaneous shapes all over the page with my Tombow. And then I'm going to go in and color them in the fun colors with the calligraphs. And like, I really, really enjoy how, despite the fact that this spread is really sort of like hodgepodge and all over the place, that it still has the Heartstopper theme in it with the letters and the colors and the leaves. So I hope that you enjoyed. I hope that you were okay with this little sort of depression heart to heart. And even if you don't suffer from that, more likely than not, someone in your life does. So reach out to a loved one, tell them you're there for them, see if they want some tea with fresh lemon juice, and just, hug your family if you can. And as always, happy planning.